Hello, listener. Welcome. We are Creative Curiosity. My name is Timothy Telepis.
And I'm Anthony Themistocles, or Anthony T, or Tony, or Anthony, or Tony Anthony.
That's it. Whatever you like.
Whatever you like.
Whatever you like.
Whatever you're
Anything
feeling.
goes. Anything goes on the pod.
Anything goes on the podcast.
Yes. And what we do on the pod is basically we just talk about things. We talk about the creative world, the arts, life, everything in between, really.
Yeah, we try to bring you these episodes as promptly as we can, working around our busy lifestyles, of course. Timmy and I aren't full-time in any of our creative endeavors yet, but we do try and bring these episodes, whether it's the Tame Truth, whether it's a rankings episode or a guest episode like we have today. We try our best to bring you the content that you all need and deserve, the beautiful listener at home. So thank you for tuning into this one as well. And we'll try and bring you some nice, beautiful information that might, that might spark a bit of curiosity and interest. And that's what we try and do, Tim.
Perfect.
Perfection.
Well
Thank
said. And that leads us into our episode for today. We have another guest episode, a very special one for you all. We've got an amazing guest, Curtis Reeder. Thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
Curtis.
Thank you. Yes.
Now, Curtis, how would you, in a sentence or two, how would you best describe yourself, what you do for the listener at home who may not know who you are? Give us maybe like a pitch, like a 1-2 minute pitch.
The elevator pitch.
The elevator pitch.
Okay.
We love it.
I'm getting in an elevator. There you go. So I am a Melburnian bloke.
Yes.
And I run a video production entity called Creed Media. And essentially, I do my best to produce informative, creative, and engaging content for any and all clients. But in the last few years, I have narrowed down into a particular niche, which is to work with schools and school communities. So primary schools, high schools, in various different ways. And videos could range from athletics carnivals to cooking competitions to music videos, all of the above.
Whoa,
Wow.
that's a really good explain to me. Like I'm 5.
That was so concise.
That was awesome. He's cooked. He's tired. He's cooked. He's actually cooked himself. You guys just got another 45 minutes, Curtis, man.
Right, that
Save
was
your
a good
energy.
rehearsal. Shall we roll?
That was really well explained and well said. And I feel like what a beautiful market to tap into. Obviously, I've said this before, but I work in education, so I know what that means. Like when students get themselves seen on screen, and they feel that sense of purpose and gratification. It's a really nice feeling. So I feel like it's such a really interesting market to be working in.
Yeah, you don't often hear of it.
No, you don't.
You hear of wedding videographers.
That's what I thought you were like initially when Tim was like he does commercial work, client work. I was like, well, is it within that kind of area? But I feel like this is a really nice area that I feel like early you've tapped into it, which is a good thing. And I feel like more people might now because it seems to be becoming more prevalent.
I mean, I did tons of research when I was kind of narrowing down, looking towards, maybe schools is what I want to head towards. And I couldn't find one single videographer that like dedicated all their time and energy to working for schools. You only hear of weddings or fashion videographers or whatnot. And like, truth be told, I despise weddings. I can't stand them.
Yeah. Like wedding videography is an interesting one, isn't it?
You clash with the photographer and you're dealing with Bridezilla.
Yeah. Expectations. Yeah. Brides and expectations has to be perfect.
Yes. No, definitely agree.
Should we explain how we know each other?
I think so. I think we should for our listener at home. We go way back, don't we?
We do.
We do.
I find it weird being in the same room as you still.
I know. I know. We're getting used to it. But yes, Curtis and I, we went to kindergarten together. We lived down the road from each other as well.
We did.
So, kindergarten is where it all started.
The beautiful suburb of Port Melbourne.
Beautiful suburb of Port Melbourne. Yes, definitely. And yeah, we grew up together and we were actually really close. We were. And yeah, that led into primary school as well throughout the primary school years. And then you've always been creative, and even just watching these videos of you talking about your journey. But even me having this memory of you, I remember when we were super young and you made back on 2003 PowerPoint, and you made these ridiculous animations of like thousands and thousands of slides. And I was just completely blown away at like the detail,
The
the quality of work at such a young age. Like looking back, maybe then I didn't really appreciate it. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But now thinking back, I'm like, holy shit, that was
Wait,
just on the next
2003, you would have
level.
been like 5 or 6.
I was going to say, what, 2003?
2003
I probably
PowerPoint.
didn't know what a computer was back then.
Yeah, not like back in 2003, but like
using
the 2003 PowerPoint.
Oh,
yeah.
Like the software format
Sorry
of that.
guys,
of
I wasn't
that.
clear. I'm still learning how to do this, guys. So
No, you're
I'm
doing
so
a good
sorry.
job.
I'm so
Don't
sorry.
be so critical of yourself.
I don't
You're
think I
special.
spoke English in
I'm so sorry.
2003.
Yeah.
But yeah, sorry. To be clear for our listener, using 2003 PowerPoint presentation.
Got it. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's something that stuck in my head. And
Isn't it interesting how weird things like that stick in your head?
yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
but that one thing just stood out.
Well, it's
And
interesting because the only thing I remember we're making I made a horror skit video in primary school
Yeah.
with all of our mutual friends, and it was a hide and seek video. I think it was in year 6, and it was so bad.
Is it like a slasher
But it
or
was
something?
camcorder, iMovie, like the really early stages
Blair
of
Witch Project.
iMovie, and I suppose you could say that was my first directing experience, because I still remember directing everyone, and I remember the premise of the movie is so stupid. 2-minute video. It's really stupid in that, okay, guys, we're all playing in the playground. Let's play hide and seek. Great. I'm going to close my eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they all run off. And then I open my eyes. It's like, where did everyone go? That's a bit of irony.
Yeah. Didn't you tell them to leave like a minute ago?
Suspenseful music and whatnot.
Minute
But
ago,
yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it's and then we graduated and then we parted ways.
we did, yeah.
It's interesting how we go from seeing each other almost every day for 5 days a week for
Yep.
6 years, and
Yep.
then it was pretty much a complete cut off. I mean, social media was still kind of
Coming through, yeah.
but not enough that we all knew to kind of send each other friend requests. And so I didn't have any social media friends from primary school
Yeah.
until maybe 2 or 3 years ago. One of them, our mate Josh Rennie. How are
Josh
you,
Rennie.
Josh?
How you
Josh
doing, mate?
Rennie, superstar.
He tracked me down, and then we caught up at the pub.
Yeah, we did.
And if you were to take the pub out of it, we technically haven't seen each other for about 11 years. So
What?
it's weird to see all this kid all grown up with
Yeah.
broken voice and still playing
That
soccer.
is insane. That is insane.
Well,
Wow.
what's interesting to me about you is that you did not, I don't remember you at all expressing any desire of film or photography in primary school. That obviously came into fruition in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spoke about that in the first episode. I think
right.
I came to it relatively late.
Later.
Yeah. I feel like, unlike you, with your family are very much involved in the creative world, and again, your dad with music and everything. So I think you sort of grew up within that area at a much earlier age. Whereas me, I sort of found it just on my own throughout high school, and came to it late. So that's probably why
Brilliant.
This is a bit fresh, I guess.
Yeah,
for
I
you.
mean, I always just knew you as the soccer guru.
Yeah,
You know.
look,
That's how I was known as well. It's like the soccer guy.
the soccer
you know.
guy. Yeah.
You must have been a good player though. I mean, you still are.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
I believe in you, man. Don't worry.
Thanks, man. I
That's
appreciate
okay. No worries.
it. So was there, we'll take it back to memory lane. Was there an initial moment or first experience that you can remember of entering the creative world? Was there a split second where you're like, wow, this is awesome? Or, was there some sort of, we asked this to all of our guests, and it's really interesting to see where they first found the love or passion for the creative world. So was there an initial thing for you, or was it sort of a gradual discovery?
It was definitely gradual, but I just know the fact that we were surrounded, my brother and I, we were surrounded by, cameras and music in our household purely because of our dad. So my dad, first and foremost, is a musician, but he got into the world of video production over 10 years ago now, self-taught. And there was always a camcorder in the house, and Kenton and I, my brother, loved to kind of just experiment with it and make silly home videos together on using iMovie, the very early stages of iMovie. And but this is when we were kids, and so back then I didn't have any desires or even considered to think about career. I didn't even think that art and film were kind of necessarily melted together. I thought they were two separate categories.
Entities, yeah.
Yeah. So But I then picked it up a lot more doing my own creative stuff, and I incorporated it as part of my schooling, my high schooling, and then it was pretty well known very quickly in the first year of year 7 that I was like the filmmaker guru, and teachers were coming to me to put videos together. And
it's so interesting because like you were the soccer guy, he was like the film guy.
Yeah.
I feel like always in high school there's kids labeled as like random things. Like there's always like the singing kid or like the guitar kid, or like there's the drawer, there's the anime group. There's all these the sort of subcultures that come through, or subcategories that people get labeled as in high school. Sorry, I just went off track for a sec. But
no, that's good.
No, it just reminded me of like how everyone's got like a little label in high school, It's the first form of identification as like a 13-year-old is, oh, Curtis is the video guy, the teachers know you as the video guy.
Yeah.
Which I found
you talk about labels, because the business before Creed Media was called Creed Pictures. And so anytime I walk past a classroom or out in the yard, it's like, hey, it's Creed Pictures.
Yeah. There you go. It's a good link.
Wow. Yeah. So very much a label. But again, in high school, it was still a hobby. I didn't even think to consider it as this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Not like in my mind, it was okay. Do this while I find a real job. Do you know what I mean? It's like in hospitality or in like just a standard 9-to-5 desk job. Like I still had that mindset. And then as years progressed, I figured, maybe this is the job.
Yeah.
I'll just focus my time and energy on that. So that's pretty much how I did it. And in terms of, if you're talking about creativity, I'd say I loved being a creative person. I always loved to sketch. I loved to, I loved the art classes, both in primary and high school. They were my favorite classes, and I love digital designs as well. Whether I use Affinity Photo or Photoshop, and I love editing photos and whatnot. So, and then I went to film college, and then I really got a grasp as to what creative filmmaking was, and that was fantastic. So
really,
yeah,
I didn't know about that. Where did you go?
I went to a small tertiary course called SAE Institute, or Quantum.
Yep.
And there's one campus in every state of Australia, I believe. It's not like your RMIT or your Swinburne. It's just purely known for its audio, filmmaking, and web design courses. It's in South Melbourne, and did that for 2 years. And they cramped down like a 4-year schedule down into 2, so the workload was very heavy. And it was very tiring. But during that period, I already had a grasp of like the technical aspects of video production, I suppose. But there I got to know more about narrative filmmaking and understand like encyclopedic knowledge about it and the theory behind it, and watching really old black and white films and understanding how sort of things were invented back then to where they are today and how they've evolved today, and working with actors.
That sounds so cool.
It was cool.
Yeah.
It was just tiring.
Yeah, it sounds it. It sounds tiring.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so like I feel like, you went to that, sort of did that course. That was more based around creating your own stuff, right? But the stuff you do now is more working for clients based off their vision of what they want, or is it sort of a combination? Do you apply conceptual work to your client work as well, or do they give you the sort of blueprint and say, hey, this is what I want you to create, and I want you to like just do that, not apply your take on it?
How much creative freedom do you get?
What's the sort of how much give do you get?
It's an interesting question, because to begin with, I think people hire me out of fear of not knowing how to do it themselves.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, here, now just do your magic. And I'm like, you haven't given me any instructions. And so, but now I think, especially since 2020, clients have become a lot more smarter about knowing what to ask for, because whether I've worked with them for a period of time or just due to the fact that they've adapted to the circumstances of virtual production or whatnot, they understand shots, they understand sequence of edits, all that sort of stuff. So in answer to your question, It varies. It depends. I very rarely get a client who has a very sort of strict idea as to what they want. And you know what? I love that because it narrows down what I'm supposed to do.
That would be very liberating.
95% of the time, I'm freeballing. I'm doing all the run and gun. I just do it all myself. I have all the creative freedom. I'm providing suggestions. So a client may say, right, we want, for example, a website promotional video, something that sits on the homepage that goes for 1 minute, 30 seconds, that is basically like the video business card of our school or our business. But they may not know how to approach it. And so I'll say, okay, first of all, you need to think about your message.
Yep.
What's the one thing that you want the viewer to take away? Now, logistically speaking, you'll want to do a piece to camera, then introducing yourself, whether we can do that on a teleprompter or you can memorize your script. And then you got to think about B-roll footage. So showcase your business or your school.
Space,
In my case, it would be the school. So like show classrooms, show the yard, show teachers, show one-on-one engagement between students and staff as well. And then pretty much that's the full scope of their involvement. And then I then go away, edit it together. We may throw a bit of creativity in there involved. You know, we could do a sequence of like, you know, walking behind a student throughout the years of, you know, just a tracking shot, and we intercut as they grow older and older. Or, you know, we can try anything. And then I go away, edit, add music to it, send them 1 or 2 cuts that they can review. They're happy with it, and then invoice. So that's
we make
pretty
the
much
money,
it.
baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
That's it. Yeah, that's just an example. But I do a lot of highlight videos as well. So just event capturing, and that stuff, I don't really get any instructions. It's just I'll ask for time, location, date, who's the contact, and I'll just turn up and shoot. So if I do a lot of sport, for example. So if it's tennis, I'll just go to, like I did Rod Laver Arena a couple of months ago. The tennis courts, not the actual stadium, but outside there's a bunch of tennis courts where schools competed against each other. I'll just go around the tennis courts and film close-ups, wides, mids, get as much coverage as possible. I like to do one round on tripod, then another round on gimbal, and then maybe if I have enough time, another round on handheld, and then make sure that all of those have long and wide lenses as well, so that I get the full scope of coverage.
Variety.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how I approach my work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just listening to that process is you can see how much goes into pre-production, how important it is to pre-plan things, especially when it comes to film and working for clients. That pre-production is everything, because if you show up unprepared, then it's not going to work out for you.
But I've had to adapt to that as well.
That's the other thing too. You have to work on the spot too. In some cases, it doesn't all go to plan.
I've done lots of jobs where there's been no pre-production. I just had to go in with my instincts.
Yeah,
and just roll with it. You know.
Yeah,
that's where your experience comes.
20
through.
years of having a camera in your house comes through. You know, that sort of upbringing allows you to have that natural muscle memory where you know what to shoot or what to sort of.
And I'm not at all saying that I get it right every time.
No, of course.
Yeah.
You learn. But it's from those learning experiences where you know what to do in the next situation.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Beautiful.
That's a good answer.
Going on to next, I want to talk more about your business currently, and I'd like to get your insight in what it's like to be your own boss in running your own small business.
So good.
Yes. Has there been, like, what are the good things? I don't know if you've worked under someone else before in like a similar business where you obviously work with someone ahead, or I want to know what are sort of the pros and cons or things that you found challenging, or maybe the perks of being your own boss in running your own business.
So I've never worked under someone else's employment.
Wow.
I've always just worked for myself. And this is part of the reason why I'm always making sure that I'm expressing as much gratitude, and I'm feeling very blessed to have my own business at 23 years of age, because I've never had to work in hospitality. I've never had to ask, do you want fries with that behind the counter? I've never worked in retail. I've never,
warehouse, like picking up boxes or anything.
No, at all. This is just what I've been doing. And so, and credit to my parents and who, like had gear at the time, and I was able to use theirs until I could afford my own. And my brother as well. Pros and cons. So look, the pros is that you have all creative control.
Yeah,
that's the number one thing. And you don't have to worry about necessarily pleasing a particular boss. But for me, the clients are my boss.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just it's an interesting one. I haven't thought about it on all that often, but I just think you have creative control. You can make all the decisions as to where you want your business to go. You have the ability to subcontract, or even employ people as part of your business. I'm yet to do that. I haven't quite entered that stage yet. So Creed Media was rebranded in 2019.
Yep.
Then 2020 happened. Really had no work. I had work, but the work changed. And now this year has been my busiest year yet.
Yep.
Cons. What are some of the cons? To be perfectly honest, I can't think of anything at the moment. It's just really nice to be your own boss.
Yeah. I think earlier we were talking about even just logistical things behind the scenes of the actual shooting day. You're talking about social media and just organization and things like that. So maybe
that's a pain.
That could be a challenge, or maybe that's something you found difficult, or maybe you're unsure of. Or whereas, if you were in a already preformed business, that's something you don't need to worry about. You can just go in, do your shooting and leave, and you're just focusing on that. But I guess maybe having a small business, or like us, when we've got the podcast, we're doing everything ourselves.
Timmy is.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of other things in the background that maybe that's aside from the actual shooting that can be difficult, I think.
Yeah, I mean, like there's administrative stuff that no one ever sees.
Yep.
So whether that's keeping track of finances, or as you say, social media presence. I mean, 2020 was a bit of a blessing in disguise for me, because when I didn't have any work, I then devoted all that time to getting as much social media content as possible, like photos, videos, and then just archive it for weeks and weeks and months for me to ration it out and post as I go.
Yeah.
But I had to set up and launch the account first, which I was very resistant to do, because it's more of an enormous undertaking than we first realize to keep on top of. And, and it's difficult because Instagram in particular, I'm trying to attract two very different types of audiences.
Yeah.
I'm trying to attract the filmmaking audience. So I'll post photos of gear, behind the scenes photos, but I'm also trying to attract clients, schools, and they don't give a rat's about photos of gear and whatnot. So I'll post what are called Creed Media clips. So little snippets of the finished products that I put together. And I just hope and I pray that someone sees it. And thankfully it has happened on more than one occasion. A school has seen my work and they've hired me because of what they saw on Instagram.
Wow.
So, but you got to incorporate patience. No matter how good your photos look, and how many posts you have on your page, you still got to have patience.
Yeah,
no, exactly right.
Yeah, we've learned that the hard way on the podcast.
We're talking about 5,000 followers, man.
Hey guys, please follow us.
Please follow us.
Creativecuriosity.pod.
Everywhere, we're everywhere.
Yeah.
Follow us, please.
Follow us, please.
Please, we need
We
subscribers.
We need it.
We need this for our livelihood. How can we keep bringing you content if you don't follow? Okay, we need you to follow.
Wow, negative motivation.
Yeah, we're woke. We're woke.
Do
it's woke
this
culture.
or else.
Yeah, exactly. It's woke culture. No, everyone knows I'm kidding. If you know this podcast, I take the piss a lot. So nothing too serious.
We're jokers.
No, that's cool. That's cool. Wow. Yeah. So man, you're sort of a jack of all trades in that regard. Social media, making sure people are getting the shots you want, working with people. So it feels like it's a whole collective approach to what you do, and I think that's such an interesting thing to do, because on a daily basis, dealing with people is not easy. And I know you've probably dealt with people, and people can be interesting sometimes.
10 years of it.
10 years of it. And
Yeah.
that's one of the best things to learn, I reckon, is to deal with different types of people. Because you
Absolutely.
exercise emotional intelligence, control, awareness, all these types of things. And then, coupling that with technical things like social media, it's I feel like your business is is a good, in a way, it helps you become a better person, like a more well-rounded individual. You know what I mean? And as a guy who just maybe, runs a shop and has a few workers working for him in a business or something. You know what I'm trying to say? It's got a more comprehensive approach.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And working with people is why I do it.
Yeah.
The interaction with the clients. Yes, whilst one in every maybe 10 clients I work with, you deal with a
Tough one.
Yeah, I was going to say something.
A
rude,
euphemism for a tough
that's
one.
a better,
A tough one.
But I think it's interesting though, because you walk into a school and sometimes like the staff will even like treat you like a celebrity. You know, they'll do anything for you. Like, oh, come in. Do you want any food? Like, the whole school is yours.
Yeah.
Just let us know what you want. And it's like,
Wow.
I should like do this more often. But what's really funny is that. Especially principals. So I actually very rarely deal with principals. I deal with like marketing managers, executive officers, liaisons and whatnot, or development managers. And I think principals dedicate so much time and energy into maintaining an authoritative image for their students. They have to.
They have to.
They're a
Exactly.
leader. They're a figure of leadership.
Yeah.
And so they have to. Like
Pump
the
out the chest.
podium
Yeah.
kind of stance. The minute a camera is on them, all of that goes out the door. I just wish students could see who these people are for real.
Yeah.
Because within the first 5 minutes of meeting them, they're just like, they tense up, they freeze, they don't know what to say. It's like, hi, welcome to our school. Can we go again?
Yeah.
It's like they don't know what their name is, they don't know what it is, what their job is, and it's like, oh, if only the students knew
Exactly.
that this is who they really are.
Wow.
So it's very interesting, kind of learning that over time, and it's true of nearly all schools that I've worked with. You get confident ones every now and then who've done it before,
Of course.
but yeah, it's an interesting observation.
The truth definitely comes out when you're in front of a camera.
It does, man. It does. And like you said, you work with people. That's the best thing. Yeah. Like as a teacher, like I work with students, and it's like, people connecting with people is a good thing. And that's what you said you enjoy about it the most. Yeah. That's sort of you see when students' faces light up when they're on screen, or, you know what I mean? Like there's a moment there, isn't there?
That's the reason why I do it probably most out of all, is interacting with the students. And so every now and then I'll have a student come up to me at a shoot and they'll ask questions about filmmaking, and that's just a joy to do. And just to be able to, like, in fact, one of them now works with me.
There you go.
He came up to me
Incredible.
at Over Newton College.
That's cool, that one, actually. That's a good
Yeah,
school.
last year. Asked questions about cameras and filmmaking, and he's like, oh, I'm always looking for experience. And I just went, oh, come along to one of my shoots. And he did, and he was great. And now I use him for whenever I can. So that's James.
Incredible.
Good on you,
James.
James.
Go James.
James.
Go
yeah,
James.
But yeah, when they see themselves in a cinematic looking video, that's why I do it.
Yeah,
and the
that's
fact
awesome.
that a parent or a guardian can
exactly.
look at that, even if it's for a split second, they just go, that's my kid, and they can be proud. So
That's awesome, man. Love
That's
that.
great.
Yeah, it is good.
That's great to hear. Talking about your business, what's next? I think what's next moving forward?
Creed Media.
Yeah, so you're working a lot with schools now, but is there anything in the works going forward?
Creed Media. Well, someone actually pointed out to me the other day that I missed an opportunity to call it Creedia.
True.
You know who you are. Yes, you.
Yes, you. Is he Spanish?
you.
Is he Spanish?
Yes, you.
Is he or she Spanish? Yes, you, Sanchez. Yes, you.
Yes, you.
We'll call that person Yes, you. Yeah.
Yes, you. Yes, you.
YES, hyphen YU. Yes, you.
What was the question? Oh yeah, where am I going with Creed?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Right now I'm.
Yes, you.
That's across from you, man.
Yeah, that's across. It's an X. That's a red
an
X.
That's a red X, guys.
Keeping up to
They're
the
back.
teacher standards.
Teacher
No tick
standards?
for me. X.
That's an X.
X.
Red X. I'm putting a bad review on your
I know, bad review on the
Bad
podcast.
reviews.
Give us,
degree.
I mean, yeah, it's fine.
Anyway, right now I'm very happy with where I am, and I just I just really like working with schools. There is a desire to get back into narrative filmmaking again.
Yep.
So I haven't made a short film since 2018, I don't think. But I would love to get back into it. I've had a bit of a break. And the reason I took the break from it is because it is quite a draining process. You realize that you can't go solo when you work on a...
So hard making a short film. People don't understand what 4-minute videos take, how long it takes to do.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's a tiring process, and when you're working on like 12-hour days for a week or something like that, I mean, that doesn't compare to... Who was the guest that you had? Was it Jordan, who was like 12-hour days for 5 weeks or something or other? I can't imagine what that's like.
Yeah.
But just a week alone kind of just takes the life out of you. So, but I'd love to... I've got 2 ideas in the works that I'd love to kind of push out and really work on over the next year
That's
or two.
awesome.
Whilst one of them actually probably will take many years to develop, but one of them, the other one, I'm very kind of passionate about, and kind of in the process of just jotting down ideas at the moment. So I would love to be able to attach the Creed label to narrative stuff as well as corporate and commercial works as well. But just in terms of where I am now, I just am really happy. I'm very comfortable, and I've developed a level of confidence and trust that I don't necessarily need to sort of kind of introduce myself to schools anymore, like I used to. You know, schools are now calling me, because sometimes you feel a bit awkward when you like email a school that's a complete stranger to you. It's like, hi, I make videos. Can I work for you, please? Give me money.
But that's the initial hustle, isn't it, Curtis? That you have to sort of, before you get to this point where you are getting phone calls now, that's the initial hustle you have to sort of push through. Yeah.
But there are months where I have no phone calls. Yeah. And then I do have to go back to, hey, just let you know I'm
door-to-door
still
sales.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, my name's Curtis.
Yeah.
do the rounds.
That's pretty much where it's headed at the moment.
Like, I'm just thinking now, if you were to sort of go and endeavor into making narratives, short narratives, you know, because, you know, as a teacher, you have a professional code of conduct. You have to be a certain way. As a person who works in schools now, you know, do you feel like perhaps your vision or what you want to create in the future in terms of a narrative has to be sort of appropriate for your label now too? Because, you know, you might get that initial what did I just put a U into that? Sorry. Initial sort of feeling of creating something. I don't know, you might have swearing in it. You might have, I don't know, killing in it. And as a person now who sort of works in schools, might work at your Catholic schools as well. You might work in these schools that have a pretty reserved, approach to things. You know, do you feel like that, going down the narrative path might actually influence the way you actually make your shorts?
That's a really good question.
In the future?
I've never been asked that before. Good question.
Because I know that's real for me as well. As a teacher, I can't necessarily do whatever I want. Like, I can't go out and swear on I can, but it's like...
Because you're associated with them. You have to sort of think about it, of who might watch or who might recognize you.
People look up... I have students looking me up all the time.
Yeah.
And some have actually even found this.
Really?
You know, students from the past. Because the kids are fascinated by their teachers, or they're fascinated by authoritarian figures. Like, you know, that kid's fascinated by you, who works with you now.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, do you feel like that might sort of be a hindrance, or will it make you make things differently?
Well, it's interesting because, you know, like... Film studies obviously take place in schools. Like I saw you guys talk about how, you know, there's always that excitement when it's like, it's movie day.
Yeah, exactly.
In the classroom. And so, but I think, you know, now some of the films that teachers will put on to a certain age group is questionable, you know, in terms of the appropriateness of it. Like, we watched Blood Diamond in year 9. I think that was probably not allowed. In fact,
that's got some pretty interesting.
That's
pretty interesting film.
That's pretty heavy tones in that. The movie 300, I think we watched in year 7. I don't think that was for film study. I don't think that was for studies though. I think
we won't mention this school. We don't want to go bankrupt.
No, we won't. But look, it's an interesting point you make. But I don't think if schools are worried about that, then I don't think they're actually being really realistic. about the fact that dealing with dramatic topics or serious topics or even scary topics is a part of living life.
100%.
So they're going to know it one way or another. Yep. So my attitude is just, I'm going to do what I feel is best for the story. And if that somehow puts a bad label to my brand because one school didn't like what I put out, then that's their issue.
That's a very mature approach.
Yeah. And maybe I won't even want to work with them because
closed-mindedness or something.
Yeah, that's how they felt. And, you know, but I think for me now, it's just, if they're showing those types of films in classrooms anyway, then I wouldn't think that would be a problem.
Yeah.
And who knows, they might be showing horror films in grade 4. You know? So, and, but yeah, my attitude is I'm not going to worry about that.
Yeah. So you'd still go through with what you want.
I'm just going to do exactly what I want to do. And really, in blunt terms, not give a rat's about what they think.
Yeah. Yeah. I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Sticking to your beliefs.
Yeah.
Not compromising your
especially
artistic,
in this day and age where everyone, you know,
compromises.
Compromise their artistic integrity.
We spoke about that in the Team Truth, I believe, in one of our episodes. Tune into that as well.
Yeah.
If you can. And what I like about Curtis is he's very well versed in the creative curiosity episodes.
Yes.
He's recalling episodes here. One of our great listeners so far, you are, Curtis.
Which we really do appreciate.
Yes.
Thank you.
No problem.
Appreciate that.
Very
well. Very nice. Very nice. Good
question.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Amazing question, actually.
Yeah. Because you know, I think about those things because I like to create as well.
Yeah.
And I can't go too hard in a way. You know, I can't because I physically, I can get in serious, not serious trouble, but
yeah. Well, you're in a different position to me.
Correct. I'm in there every day.
Correct.
You know, and like you said, when you see a principal to have the authoritative figure.
Yep.
And while I am a bit of if people know me, I'm pretty chill. I'm a pretty relaxed person. I don't take things too seriously, but I still have that level of authoritarian approaches in the classroom. Because if you don't have that, then kids run all over you. So it does compromise mine, which is not ideal. But for you, it sounds like you're just going to go for it, which I really respect.
Yeah, no,
that's really cool.
But I feel like you don't have to compromise too much. You know, you can still, for me, I just wish that schools would teach more about the theory part of filmmaking.
Yeah.
And I know they can go to film college to do that as well. But I think, living in this day and age where, people are using iPhones or iPads to film things now and just small little devices and, video projects do take place in schools. We did a few, group projects together where we had to make a video. And so if you're going to do that, you might as well use that as an opportunity to talk about visual aesthetics and composition, mise-en-scene, sound design and mixing, all the above, really.
Correct. They should teach that more. Get the kids creatively more into the world because it's very much just maths, reading, writing as the sort of cornerstone to education, which it is in a way. It's the most fundamental thing.
Yes.
But I feel like we might lose a lot of creative kids when we don't focus so heavily on that.
And I remember you asked a question a few episodes ago of whether you should go to film college or not.
Yeah.
My basis is yes. Not so much for the theory because all that stuff is online now.
Yeah.
You go for the connections and the collaborations. It's practically presenting you an entire film crew on a silver platter. Because that could be your future film crew that you work with after college.
Yeah.
There are people I still work with today from going to that university. And but you don't get that if you just want to start up your own little film entity on your own or by yourself. It's harder to connect. It's harder to branch out and meet
definitely
lighting crews, sound
100%.
crew, caterers,
we speak about
makeup designers and all that. So
there's so many people involved. Networking is definitely one of the keys for sure.
In film.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely. Stepping away from, I guess, your work, is there any sort of inspirations that you look up to or any people that you admire, I guess, or that have inspired you and what you do? Could be commercial or narrative based.
Yeah,
anything,
sure.
Really.
I mean, look, I'm always fascinated by other video production businesses in Melbourne. And I'm always checking out their work, and whether that's just looking at Instagram posts or their website. Inspirations, I think there's different attributes that you pick up of different people. There's never just like, there's never one. Yep. But, you know, whether it's YouTube vloggers like Peter McKinnon, Daniel, someone. That's not a very good plug for him. Go follow Daniel someone.
Yeah, Daniel someone.
Yeah, and look, I've definitely picked up tricks from those guys. But look, I suppose, you know, your one and main sort of inspiration is kind of like your family. And so
we always go back to that.
I look up to my dad and what he's done, especially musically speaking, because, you know, whilst it may not feel like a big sort of part of making films or videos, but music actually half of video is sound, and music plays a part in that. And so he's been really sort of influential in how I approach picking a song or a track for when I put an edit together. So
incredible.
Yeah.
Dad's a special person, right? What's his deal? He performed, like, what does he do?
So he's a musician first and foremost. He's gonna love me sharing this. So he is a member of the ABBA tribute band Born Again, an Australian lineup, and he's been doing that since 2001. He's the music director of the band as well. So he performs all over the world, putting on a Swedish accent and acting stupid on stage. And he still does that today. It's been a bit tough for him in the last year and a bit. Yeah. Because of COVID, he lost about 40 or 50 gigs, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there needs to be more recognition for bands and cover bands because they're hurting. So
you didn't think about cover bands. People like to sort of just take the piss out of them, I think, you know, like a cover band, because they say musicians that never actually got to make it, sort of thing. I've heard that argument so many times. But you're saying it's pretty much like this is the foremost biggest ABBA band, like tribute act in the world, right?
It's known as the number one tribute act in the world.
There you go. That's insane. And he's played all around the world.
He's played in local pubs to stadiums, you know, and it's kind of the best way to have a music career and have a private life, because he's not someone who would get recognised, you know, to be able to play in crowd sizes as a stadium or, you know, thousands and thousands of people, and yet still manage to just walk around town completely unbothered.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's the dream.
Exactly.
It's like voice actors, you know,
Yeah.
They get paid, you know, maybe a lot of money for, I don't know, doing a voice, but then you don't actually know who they are. It's the perfect sweet spot. That sweet spot's so important, I feel. Exactly. If you're a celebrity, you know. Yeah. Wow. Go Dad.
Yeah, I know. For sure.
Thanks, Dad.
Go Pops.
Thanks, Dad. Go Pops. Perfect. Before we finish up the episode.
Gee, that was quick.
Yes, very quick. We always like to end on a little segment called What Have You Been Watching Lately, where we sort of just talk about maybe something that we've seen, a film, TV show, maybe you've listened to a record. It could be anything. Something that stands out to you that you've checked out recently. So, Curtis, we'll start with you as our guest.
Okie dokie.
Anything that stands out?
You know, one thing, a particular film that I think is just so underrated and so unrecognized is a film called Last Flag Flying, and it's with Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston,
Linklater, Richard Linklater directed.
Yep, and Lawrence Fishburne. It's a small independent film, and I would understand why people would say that it's boring because it's just a bunch of guys in rooms talking. But it's a war film, but there's no war in it. It's like 30 years after the Vietnam War. These guys have all retired, and they haven't seen each other since their days in battle, but they've all reunited over a very tragic circumstance in Steve Carell's life, his character. Steve is not funny in this film. He's the quiet one. He's the depressed one. He's just very sort of shy, actually. And Bryan Cranston is he's got all the laughs. He's a guy his character is like he eats up life. He drinks, women, drugs, but he's also the first guy to say, like, what do you need? You know, he's the one who, like,
just hedonistic lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, but really it's about friendship, and it's about addressing the topic of the necessity of war and, why America just kept on sending soldiers to Vietnam when they knew they were going to lose and just continued to lose lives. And so it addresses that. But it's funny, it's dark, it's drama. I've watched it about 5 or 6 times. I just think it's a really beautiful film.
Love that.
And I've watched it, tons of stuff lately as well. But that's the one that kind of first came to mind. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Great
that's a good choice. Sounds like, and you sold it to me pretty well as well. Like the
I
theme
know,
sounds super
I know,
interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. And Richard Linklater.
Yeah,
So-
he's
I love him.
legend.
Yep.
Yeah, so we watched The Father on
We
Monday.
might have a conjoined one.
Yeah, we'll go back and forth. So I'll
Yeah.
start off. So we watched The Father. It's
Hopkins.
2020 release.
Anthony Hopkins 2020 release with Olivia Colman as well.
Yep.
Who I absolutely and I think it's Imogen Poots.
Yep.
Who Tim has a bit of a crush on.
Anyway.
But no, that was obviously a film about Anthony Hopkins' character, whose name's Anthony, by the way, which is actually Anthony, which is actually my name.
Is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Anthony,
it's a
Tony,
good.
Tony,
Yeah,
Anthony,
it's a link. But no, he's got I think it's dementia or is it Alzheimer's. I'm not
yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Dementia,
Alzheimer's. And he sort of goes through the process of, and we get the visual and perspective of what it feels like to have that sort of wreak havoc on your life. And the film was very well done. Again, like
Incredible.
you said, Curtis doesn't really have much happening, just dialogue, a lot of heavy dialogue.
Yep.
But the way it goes from happy to sad, from amused to frustrated to nervous to depressing to anxious, it's a full cinematic experience, and you walk out of there, really consumed and stressed.
Yes.
Don't know how many viewings I can do of that movie again, but heavy and beautifully crafted. Timmy, you want to add to that?
Extremely emotionally heavy.
Like,
Again, as you just said, there wasn't a whole lot like happening, but you just felt stressed. It felt chaotic,
correct.
Even though it was very simple, you were well versed in his mindset, and it was just
Did he deserve the Oscar?
for sure.
For
It
sure.
was incredible.
I reckon so.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Just felt like a master at work.
Well, I think all the
all of them,
performances
all of
were
them.
just perfect, nail on the head. But no, the film was very clever too. I think it wasn't like your conventional, looking at it from a wider perspective, looking in. You're in it. You're in it with
you're
him.
in his
you're
mind.
feeling it.
Yeah.
You're in his mind, and I think that's what just makes it. That just puts it on another level for me.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely deserved to nab the Oscar for it, I thought.
100%.
Best pick. I mean, I haven't seen the best picture of this year, which is Nomadland, but I did think that was, I find it hard to top that
Yeah,
in terms of releases last year. But
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know.
I'll be checking it out.
Yeah, it's a good one.
definitely. As always, guys, our listener, you can check out our recommendations on the Our Lists tab on our website. We obviously post everything that we recommend, talk about. You can go check them out and form your own opinion, as always.
Correct.
But yeah, that comes to the end of the episode. Firstly, Curtis, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you've been
no
awesome,
problem.
man.
Yeah, really,
appreciate
and
your time.
it's great to see, and I admire your professionalism and your small business ownership, and it's great to see what you're doing and your purpose as well. I think you're not only are you talented as a creative, and you're obviously switched on, but your purpose is there too, and I admire that. So
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, and
Love
like
this
I
show.
said, we're a bunch of dreamers. We've had all these dreamers so far, and we
Yeah,
love all
yeah,
of our
yeah.
dreamers. But to have someone come on who's
Well-versed.
sort of made their sort of it sounds kind of wanky to call it a dream, but sort of what they wanted to do a reality, and to have work and to do this full time. I think a lot of us would like that lifestyle to
For
just
sure.
be able to create full time.
yeah,
It sounds like a really interesting thing, and it's hard to find, I guess, people who are in that, I guess, at a younger age, because it takes a while to develop yourself,
yeah, definitely.
And you've obviously been around it for a while, so it's been awesome to have you here, man. Really
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
your time.
Yeah, I love the show.
And you at home, thank you for tuning in
Yeah,
and listening.
for sure. Before we end,
Oh, no.
I forgot something. Is there anything you want
How
to plug?
tragic.
Anything you want to plug for
We
your
forgot.
own business?
Hire me, please.
Sorry.
I'd like
Hi,
more
Curtis, guys.
Hi, Curtis.
To our listener.
work.
Any final comments?
Instagram is my main account. So at Creed Media or at Creed.media or _media. I don't know. I'm not very good at this sort of stuff, but it's one of them. So check it out, please. And I'd love to work with you.
Yes.
Beautiful. Well said. Anyway, guys, guys, listener.
Listener.
Thank you for tuning in as always. We appreciate your time and your effort, and we hope you learn a thing or two. And please don't be afraid to shoot us a message, send us your opinions, your thoughts, and don't forget to check out Curtis's work. We'll obviously be keeping in tabs on him, keeping in touch, and we'll definitely be sharing all of his stuff moving forward. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.